I'll go ahead and give myself a little intro while we're waiting. I am Megan Sullivan. I'm the creative director at Next to Me Marketing. And this is my email. If there's anything that you hear today, you have questions about, we do not have a chance to answer, feel free to jot this down and email me personally. We're committed to being a resource and getting you answers and support when you're using HubSpot CMS, now Content Hub. So a little bit about me. I have been working in an agency setting inside the HubSpot CMS for 8 years now. So started as an account manager doing all things landing page, email, all of the things. And now I primarily focus on website builds, website redesign, etc. I help alongside of HubSpot and our agency to host the CMS for Marketers events, which we will need to do some rebranding now that we are Content Hub. So I think we're holding 4 events this quarter. It will consist of hugs, so hour-long, more formal sessions, and then 30-minute office hours where we'll just kind of have some Q&A. We'll talk through some common things we're seeing, maybe if there are any updates with Content Hub, and just sort of try to make it as action-packed and valuable for you as possible, where we can just learn from each other and help each other do better marketing inside of the HubSpot CMS content. We also are a part of and help manage alongside HubSpot the CMS for Marketers events study groups. I don't think I put that link. Amanda is our moderator today, and she's going to help share some links as I'm going through some of these slides. So if she misses anything, it's my fault for not being organized on the slide side and not hers. But we do have links for the CMS for Marketers events as well as the study group if you're not already a part of those. The study group is just going to be a hub where pretty much like a forum for anyone using the tool to just comment, ask questions, share what's working, share what's frustrating. There are some HubSpot team members, as well as Jennifer is incredible, who's in this chat at getting answers and responding. So if you have any frustrations or any questions even about what you're hearing today, I would encourage you to ask them there, because chances are someone else also has the same question, comment, or concern. So again, thank you guys so much for spending your Thursday afternoon, morning, whatever time it is for you, with us. We hope this is really valuable information as we dive into all things Content Hub. Today's agenda, I'm going to do my best to get through the meat and potatoes of today's content in around 40 minutes. Might take a little less because I tend to talk fast, but we do have a lot of content, so I will do my best to make it as clear as possible. Amanda will be monitoring the chat, so if there's any questions she can answer on the spot, she will do, or not, we will flag them for a Q&A time at the end. What we'll be covering is an intro to Content Hub. So where is CMS Hub? What is CMS Hub? And then what is Content Hub? We're going to touch briefly on Content Hub and Marketing Hub, the separation between the two with this new update. And then also spend a lot of time today talking about some of the new tools and functionality that is now live and or in beta with Content Hub that we're really excited about, that hopefully is going to make your lives as marketers and as content creators easier. So fun things. We'll take a look a little bit as well at the roadmap of where Content Hub is headed. And then we're committed to spending some time at the end for question and answer. So if you have any questions about anything we talk about today, any questions we miss in the chat, and or you want to share brainstorm ideas, we would love to hear from you, and we'll have some time for that at the end for whatever we don't get to during this session. So without further ado, introducing Content Hub. So you've probably noticed, if you are using one of the tools currently, some structure changes in your account. We're going to deep dive today into what exactly that's all about, and we are really excited about what's to come. So basically, to streamline content creation and management, HubSpot launched the new Content Hub in early April 2024. So with that, I will caveat, we are an agency, we are using the tools. I am not a product developer at HubSpot, so you might have some questions today that we do not know answers to. We are still learning these tools alongside you guys. Again, they just launched in April, but a lot of them are really cool, and we have had time to test them out and play with them. And we are committed to finding the people internally who have the answers if there's anything you ask that we do not know about. But I did just want to give that little disclaimer there as we dig into Content Hub. So at a bird's eye view, Content Hub is HubSpot's new all-in-one AI-powered content marketing software that helps marketers create and manage content. that's going to fuel the entire customer journey. So it's going to help you create higher quality content faster. And there are also some new AI software intelligence embedded into Content Hub that's going to fill some gaps and also help you save time on the marketing and content creation side that we are going to cover all today. So a lot of exciting things happening with Content Hub. Basically, if you are a CMS Hub user or were a CMS Hub user, you'll know that CMS Hub was previously just content management system, website pages inside of HubSpot. Content Hub will include everything that CMS Hub was, but it will also now include landing pages, blogs, and then some new embedded AI and some new content type features that we're going to talk about today. So let me see if I am jumping slides here. Let me hop to this one first. So basically what HubSpot's done here is they have separated out Content Hub from Marketing Hub a little better. So there was some confusion and overlap. If you'll note, previously blogs and landing pages was under Marketing Hub. That is now moved to Content Hub. So Content Hub is truly just going to be where all of your content is created and managed. Marketing Hub is where you're going to be doing all of your marketing. So generating leads, segmentation, email, etc. So it's a little bit more clear separation with these two channels now, where anytime you're creating or managing content, it's going to be in Content Hub. Anytime you're doing true marketing, generating leads, automating sequences, creating emails, etc., that's going to be under the Marketing Hub. So what's practically different? Again, CMS Hub is now part of Content Hub. It's not just a web solution. It's going to be a full, basically it's gone from a content management system to a digital experience platform where you can host all types of content. So blogs, landing pages, podcast libraries, and so much more. Again, as I mentioned, you'll notice landing page and blogs previously under marketing are now under Content Hub, and some new features, mostly powered by AI, that are actually going to be really cool that we're going to get all into today, will also be a part of this new Content Hub. Some new content types and some new cross-channel experiences that are all going to be under this Content Hub umbrella. So with that, I will touch briefly on pricing. Again, caveat here, I am not with the sales team under HubSpot, but this is the new Content Hub pricing as it stands. So you can see there is a free version, same limitations as the CMS free, where you'll have the HubSpot branding. And then you'll also now have, we got Content Hub Starter, Professional, and Enterprise. And you can see here, I'll touch base as I cover all the features, which plan they will be available under. So hopefully that's clear to you as we go through this. If you are sitting here and you are currently a CMS Hub user and you are in your account and you're not seeing any of the new functionality that I am talking about, that is totally okay. If you are currently a CMS Hub user, you love being a CMS Hub user, you can stay on the CMS Hub platform. I believe you will be able to renew that, and nothing will change for you on your end, at least for the time being. However, you will not have access to some of the new tools that we are going to talk about, and the new features, functionality that are associated exclusively with Content Hub today. So my suggestion here would be to go into your account, go into that little upgrade feature, start a chat with someone on the HubSpot sales team, and talk to them about what might make the most sense for you. If you see some tools today that you're excited about how and where to upgrade your account to change your existing CMS Hub potentially into Content Hub. But if you are on CMS Hub and you're like, what about me? Nothing's going to change. You're going to have the same experience, just less potential access to some of these new tools. So again, chat with sales, see what your options are to potentially migrate or upgrade into some of these new features, which we are going to get into now. So a lot of cool things, like I mentioned, being launched with this new Content Hub. A lot of them are powered or a little bit more integrated with AI, which is exciting and hopefully going to save us all time and help us do better marketing more effectively. With this, we will start with Content Remix. So this is a HubSpot content repurposing software that adapts assets across channels. This is currently in beta, so it is available, but it's still in beta. Anything that's in beta just means it's not officially live yet, so you can still give HubSpot feedback on what you love or hate about the tool as it's still being tested prior to launch. So just note that things in beta might have some kinks still to work out, but again, are completely available to you to use, test, mess around with on the content side. So I'm going to pull up just a little screen capture of basically what this is. So if you go under your new format, if you have access to Content Hub and access to this feature, again, this is going to be a feature available with Content Pro and Content Enterprise. What you can do here is you can remix different content across channels, starting from one source content. So if you watch, what I start with here is a specific blog post that I've got in my account. And then I say, remix this content. It'll pull up a sidebar for me and it'll say, what type of channel do you want to remix this content into? So image, landing page, email, blog post. I can then generate this remixed content, and right from this content remix portal, it'll automatically populate an AI image for me, an email, landing page, ad copy, etc. So really, really cool tool that's going to be a ton of fun to play with and help you save time as you have quality content that you're wanting to repurpose cross-channel. Some things to note about this tool is what you can currently remix. So the piece of content you're starting with that you can then create assets from are a blog post, a site page, landing pages. You can start from new text, which is really cool for if you're just brainstorming, or if you have something that you might want to make into a blog post, but is not even a blog post yet. You can actually just type in and chat with the tool what this campaign idea is, and then generate cross-channel content and assets from that. In the future, you're going to be able to upload a document. So you can upload just like a doc directly. Maybe you have a blog typed out with your copywriter. You can upload that directly. It'll populate it in the actual blog template for you. And then again, you can populate cross-channel from there. The types of content available right now for you to remix this initial content into, you can do an ad, you can do an audio file, which is really cool. We're going to get all into what that looks like later. Blog post, image, landing page, email, SMS message, and social post, which is 8 different types of content that you can repurpose a single, potentially just text file into, and or blog post, asset, etc. So really, really cool tool. What we think is going to be really fun to play with and to see what you can populate. You can see here in this little test remix flow, I started with a blog post, and then I turned that blog post into landing page, a blog, a social post, a blog post, and an image. From there, I took that blog post that I generated from my initial blog post and did the same thing. I generated an image, a landing page, a blog, and ad copy. So potentially this is kind of an endless loop of different content, cross-channel content you can create starting from just one piece of content. So really, really cool and going to be a lot of fun for marketers and us to play around with. Some other cool things I'll mention about Content Remix is they do have some templates. HubSpot's put together some templates that you can start with. So instead of building out your own kind of flow, you can base it off a template. So you can promote contents to a wider audience, drive conversions, brainstorm. You can select whatever your goal is and play around with their existing templates. And or if you have channels you're already promoting to, if you created flows that you know work well with your audience, you can save those as a remix flow yourself and use those flows again and again with your own types of content, with whatever flow makes sense for the channels that you are specifically using. So cool functionality there. Some things we're excited about this tool about is going to be, I think it's going to be really great for brainstorming campaigns. So maybe you're new, don't have a massive team, and or you just have an idea and kind of want to run with it, play with it. I think that little text box, maybe that blog idea is going to be great for kind of playing with the tool just to brainstorm and see what different types of assets you could create from a campaign concept. I think it's going to be massive time saving for repurposing content. So let's say you are not engaging at all with some different channels inside your site. Maybe you're not doing emails at all right now. Maybe you're not blog posting enough, but you're creating a lot of great landing page and website page copy. This is going to be a cool tool to repurpose with minimal effort, and be able to kind of see and test that same content cross channels to see what's really going to work well for you and your audience. And then you can easily maximize top performing assets. So this is where I would start with the tool: is take your top performing landing page, take your top performing pillar page, website page, put that in the tool that has really quality, meaty content, and see what's going to populate, and reuse and repurpose that cross content, generate more content from that content. So essentially a lot of opportunities with this new content remix tool. Some things I will say to keep in mind here: it's not like an auto publish workflow tool. So you're not going to be able to just create these remixes and then be like, great, now set everything live, send it. What it's going to do is when you publish your remixed content, cross-channel content, you're going to have to go into that like email, and it'll say, open this in your email editor, where you'll then open it in the specific email, blog, ad, etc. editor. Obviously, this is not going to be completely powered. You're still going to have some fine tuning with AI. You're still going to have to put together your email list. So there's still going to be strategy that's involved in this. So what's your ad strategy? What are your email lists? Who are you sending these to? You're still going to have to fill out your blog meta description, all of those pieces. But a lot of the initial legwork is going to be done for you. So you're not starting from a blank canvas. But again, it's not just going to be something where you can just click those buttons and be like, okay, publish this, send these emails, etc. There is going to be some human touch involved, and there should be some human touch involved when you are doing AI. Amanda can probably send out a link to, she just did an incredible Sarasota Hug event all about AI, how to use it, what to do, what to know, what not to know. And certainly anytime you're working with an AI, you need to be mindful of that human touch. I will say, having played with the tool, it's not going to be the most stunning things that populate out right from the jump, but it's again going to give you that good foundation to then layer in your brand voice, layer in your stunning imagery, etc., on top of kind of the base that this content remix tool is going to populate out for you. So again, it still needs human touch. It still needs strategy. You still need to put together a list you're sending the emails to. You still need to put together the dates you're scheduling the social post on, etc. And then another thing I would keep in mind is the more quality content you feed the tool initially, the better quality content it's going to be able to populate for you. I didn't show this in any of my previews, but when you actually select what type of content you want to populate, it's going to give you some more prompts. So if I select email, it's going to say, okay, who's the target audience? It's going to ask me a little bit more detail, maybe say what kind of templates, etc., are you wanting to use for this? So as much detail as you can feed it beforehand, the better quality content you're going to get populated on the output. That being said, if you're just using it for brainstorming, certainly you can just play around and see what it comes up with. But if you are looking to get the most bang for your buck when using the tool, I would go ahead and make sure you're starting with quality, high value content. So that is Content Remix. Again, very exciting, very cool tool. I hope you guys have the opportunity to go play with it. It is live now in any Content Hub available. You can go in and start remixing some content today. Another thing I didn't mention here, but you'll hear me repeat this with any of the AI things, is always keep in mind security. So you will, with any of these AI tools, you're going to get a little pop-up that's going to say, please avoid sharing any sensitive information in your prompts and only use content that you have right or license to. Please review the AI-generated content for biases and inaccuracies. So again, keeping in mind what you are feeding this is on AI, and you want to keep security forefront and top of mind with any of the AI tools we're going to talk about today. Okay, another tool that is exciting with this new update is going to be Brand Voice. This again is in beta, and it's available for Content Pro, and Enterprise. So basically what Brand Voice is going to do is going to enable you to create on-brand content at scale with Brand Voice software that embodies and writes in your brand's unique voice. You'll see here, again, I just got a screen capture. This is going to be in your account settings. What it's going to do is ask you for a writing sample. So if you've got a blog post or email that you feel like really eloquently captures your specific brand voice, you populate in here, you tell it your target audience, and then it's going to give you some other options to select your personality, etc., and your tone. Once you save that, you'll see a few other options where you can give it some more context of your mission, what channels you want to enable this on. And pretty much that's all the setup that goes into brand voice. Again, like we talked about, the more you feed an AI, the better quality content's going to produce on the output. So this is just a cool fail-safe to make sure that your AI generated content is sounding and feeling as human as possible. What this looks like once you have that set up in your account is you can go to any of the channels that you have enabled brand voice on, and you can highlight, right click, and you'll see apply brand voice. And then you can apply that brand voice directly to any of those channels. So they're fairly frictionless setup and pretty easy use case when this whole brand voice functionality, when you're using it. We're excited again, easy setup. It's going to make it a little bit easier to have on-brand copy at scale. So let's say you have a large team, you're working with freelancers. This is going to be a nice little fail-safe to be able to apply your brand voice or to test your brand voice and do that a little bit easier at a larger scale across the board. And then again, you're going to encourage more human-sounding and more you-sounding AI. Some things to keep in mind. I know that this will auto-populate if you have it set up on your account if you're using the blog AI. It wasn't clear to me what other AI this is going to automatically apply your brand voice to. I think there's some manual work in right-clicking and saying apply brand voice for a lot of the use cases. But again, not a ton of friction, but something to know. It wasn't clear to me exactly what this default applies to other than your blog AI content. So for example, Content Remix, I'm not sure if that automatically takes into account your specific brand voice you have set up or not. But another thing I can circle back with the product team on. It's only in English so far, so limitation of the tool as it stands. And then always keep in mind, no AI is going to sound 100% like you in your brand voice. We never recommend letting AI just run wild. Always have a second set of eyes on something. And always put your actual voice in whatever content. Make sure it sounds and feels like you and your brand. So that is brand voice, low friction thing you can go ahead and set up if you already have or are using Content Hub today. This is going to be a particularly exciting tool if you are currently using or hosting your site on WordPress. So this is a live feature functionality, and this is available for Content Pro and Enterprise called Content Embed. So basically what HubSpot has done has enabled you to create personalized experiences for your website visitors using content embeds to publish HubSpot-built content to your WordPress site. So what this looks like inside of HubSpot, if you go to content, you will see an option now for content embed. When you go in here, you can pretty much create, using HubSpot's drag and drop editor, a section or like type of section, different layouts, using modules natively in HubSpot that you can then embed directly into your WordPress site. The cool thing about this, and that you'll see in my example, is you can leverage all of the cool data that you are getting through the HubSpot CRM to elevate this content. For example, this text here, I've made it smart. So I'm showing one type of content for my default viewer. And then I am showing a different type of content for my contacts who I have identified as a lifecycle stage customer. So anywhere I embed this content block that I've put together, it's going to be smart content that's going to take advantage of all of the CRM and data that I'm gathering by using the HubSpot platform. So it's going to make WordPress and HubSpot really powerful tool together, whereas before there was some limitations with how and where you could leverage some of the data you're accessing inside of HubSpot on your actual content you're outputting from WordPress. If you are a HubSpot user, I'm getting ahead of myself. So on WordPress, this is what that will look like once you have your content embeds created inside of HubSpot. Essentially, it'll just be like another widget once you have the integration set up that you can just say HubSpot content embed, and then you can select your embed and just apply it directly to your WordPress page with a couple clicks. So again, really, really cool, seamless experience that's going to help you like elevate your WordPress site, take advantage of HubSpot assets on your WordPress site, and then also avoid some of the custom programming that often is involved with WordPress, since HubSpot's drag and drop editor is pretty intuitive and user-friendly, creating personalized content, etc. If you are in HubSpot and using the HubSpot CMS or have your site hosted in HubSpot, interested in taking advantage of this tool, what you can do if you have used templates previously, a limitation that we have noticed with themes is it wasn't as easy to create what's called global content. So one source of truth for a content block that you have on 10 different pages. Currently, it's not as simple to just have that one source of truth, edit it in one place, apply it to all 10 pages. You can actually access a content embed directly on your HubSpot page, where you'll just go to that little plus bar. It's going to be under your saved section, and you can directly drop whatever content embed you have created onto the page. So if I'm using this content embed on 10 different pages, I just have to update it in that one content embed area inside of HubSpot, and it's going to auto update on all of my HubSpot pages. So if you are missing global content or the ease of global content with HubSpot's previous templates, now themes, this is going to be an exciting update for you to take advantage of on the HubSpot side of things. And same with WordPress, you're going to edit it in one place in your HubSpot embed area. And then when you make updates there, it's going to apply to however many pages you've got that content embed added to on the WordPress side of things. So that is how we are excited about using this on both fronts. Again, why we're excited, more control over external sites, particularly WordPress users. The Frankenstein WordPress over here, CRM, maybe blogs, landing pages, and HubSpot has always been a tricky thing to navigate. And this is going to make that connection a little bit more seamless, where we can use the data we're learning in HubSpot to actually make actionable changes on the WordPress site a little bit more easily. Again, leveraging, the content, personalized, smart content, etc. You can now do that inside HubSpot with a couple clicks, add that to your WordPress site. And personally, I'm very excited about having global content more easily accessible for us and for our users, again, on our end. What to keep in mind is you do have limited module access depending on how you've got your HubSpot account set up. Look like the modules you'll have access to inside of the content embed editor. There are around 90 modules, so you'll have a team module, you'll have a lot of the HubSpot default modules, but depending on how your account is set up, you might not have access to modules from your specific theme. And depending on how your WordPress is set up, you might need some extra layers of styling on the WordPress side to make sure all of your HubSpot embed content is populating correctly on that front. But again, it should be things you can get set up, then all of your embeds will populate properly on the back end. Maybe a limitation there. And right now it is just limited to WordPress and HubSpot as far as I can tell. I could not find an easy way to grab an HTML or an iframe for any of these embeds to put it on any other CMS platform. So that is another small limitation here, which hopefully will be expanding, where embeds can be on all different types. But as it stands, WordPress and HubSpot users would be who content embeds apply to. Another really cool feature that is also live already, available for Content Pro and Enterprise again, is AI translations. This one I'm particularly excited about because it's just a couple clicks and it feels like a lot of bang for your buck with very minimal effort on the marketer side. So basically with AI powered tools, this is powered by DeepL, you can automatically translate page and post content into other languages. You can create automatically translated content as new language variations or replace existing content with a new translation. So what this is going to look like is you'll go into your HubSpot site pages, landing pages, blog pages. You'll just hit create multi-language version. You'll select what language you want to translate into. You'll turn on that little AI translate, and then it's going to auto populate this translated page for you in a matter of seconds, which is pretty incredible. And a really cool way for you to reduce friction for your users, especially if you've got a site with multi-language users, that you can just enable this with a couple buttons and create an alternate version of your entire site. You'll notice in this example, if you are using any of that content embeds as global content, that will not apply to this translated version. So you would need to account for that and replace that with a non-global version of that content embed. But again, really cool tool with minimal friction for the marketer to populate a whole new type of content and potentially reduce a lot of friction for a whole subsect of your audience. This is currently available, why we're excited about it, for landing pages, website pages, and blogs. It's super simple to use, as you saw, and it's currently available in 31 languages so far. Things to keep in mind, again, you're going to hear me say this a lot, always have human eyes on AI content, so never fully trust your fate into the hands of AI. You want someone who can speak that language to read and confirm that everything is looking accurate and displaying properly in that language. You're also, again, going to want to consider any security risks when feeding information into any AI software. If you're doing member pages or anything that might have private information, considering that before translating any of these pages. So that is AI translations. Really, really cool feature. Very easy to make happen on your end. Another thing that I'm particularly excited about, and hopefully Amanda can share a blog post that I just enabled this on so you can test it out because I didn't get to add the picture in here, but post narration, AI post narration with HubSpot. So what this is basically what HubSpot has done has made it super simple to generate an audio file of any of your blog post content. So what this looks like once you have this enabled is you will just go into your blog post settings. You'll go to post narration. When you hit generate, you can see there it'll populate the narration transcript. I would again recommend combing through this, making sure you don't have any funky text in there or any links out to related blogs that might not make sense in an audio version of your content. You'll hit populate. It'll give you a couple different voice options, so you can comb through and see which AI voice is going to make the most sense for your brand. And then you can just hit generate, and a couple seconds later, you've got an audio file that once you update your blog will auto-populate to the front end of your blog. Really, really cool update. Again, that's going to enable you to reach potentially more audiences with the content you are already producing. You probably already have a ton of blog posts on your site. Now you can turn those into audio files, which you can do a million things with, but you can also make reading your blog easier. We're curious to test this on our end and see if it's going to boost our SEO for just people spending a little bit longer time on the page, potentially listening to audio file. So we're excited and intrigued to test some of the SEO impacts of this on our end. If you guys have already done any testing and have any insights there, please put it in the chat. We'd love to hear. But really, really cool update from HubSpot that is now currently live. So again here, super easy to populate on your posts once you already have. So you can go back and backdate and add audio files to old blog posts, etc. And again, it's just going to be another easy way where HubSpot is delivering on their promise with Content Hub to make it easy to leverage new channels with existing content types and new audiences as well. So some things to keep in mind, I will say, when you are first getting this set up, there is some initial Hubble coding required. So basically you'll need to get that post narration module added to your blog template. So you may need to work with a developer to do that if you're not comfortable working in some of that code yourself. But once that initial setup is done, you'll be able to just like you saw in that screenshot, generate the file, update the blog, and it'll populate on the front end. So I believe, Amanda shared a blog post of ours where we went ahead and did this. So you can listen to our audio file blog and see what this looks like live and in action. Again, always test and check your AI content to make sure that it is not saying anything crazy. Along with audio file and all things sound updates with HubSpot, they have now launched an entire new section inside of Content Hub under the Content Hub umbrella called Podcasts. This is also in beta, available for Content Pro and Enterprise. With podcasts, what you're going to be able to do, again, you'll go to Content, you'll go to Podcasts. You can actually manage multiple different podcast shows directly from HubSpot. You can then create, if you have a beautiful studio and mics, you can upload that existing audio to this podcast platform. If you do not, you can actually upload text and do the same thing that I just did, where you're generating an audio file and have a little AI podcast and have HubSpot generate your podcast for you directly from text. So very cool way you can test out how some of your existing content might perform in a podcast format without having to have any of the mics, any of the friction in a matter of seconds. Interesting to test this out and kind of see how it does. But again, what's going to happen here is it's going to populate an RSS feed for you that you can then connect with wherever you are distributing your podcast, Spotify, etc. So very cool. As you can tell, pretty user-friendly. It's going to prompt you to put in, after you do this screen, it's going to prompt you to put in, your image, your podcast title, your episode title, and then all of the details that will your distributor will then require to populate that podcast correctly. So why we're excited about podcasts, you can tell all of these tools are pretty user-friendly and intuitive to get set up. You can generate podcasts from text, which is a unique distributor from other podcast creation platforms. An interesting thing to maybe play around with. I'll be curious to see how some of that content performs. And then again, you can just manage more content under the HubSpot roof. Instead of needing to have external tools to manage and host your podcast, you can do it all now directly from HubSpot. Things to keep in mind, this is not going to populate a pretty podcast for you on a page. It's going to populate an RSS feed that you then must add to wherever you're distributing that podcast platform, so Spotify, etc. And then another thing there, you always want to test that on your actual podcast platform wherever you are displaying and sharing that podcast, so you're making sure that it's appearing and showing correctly. We have not done extensive testing other than inside the HubSpot side of actually publishing a podcast to a platform. So if any of you have kinks or things you love and are loving about the experience, please share them now. We are in progress of testing that. I've got Aaron on my team working on that. So we will share more as we know more. But again, from what I can tell, seems to be a cool and intuitive feature. With that, I will move on to our last update of this session, and I apologize, I'm moving quickly. Hopefully you guys are getting things from this. We will share the recording and a link to resources and slides after this if there's anything you missed. So this is another thing that's live for Content Pro and Enterprise approvals. What this looks like, or how you get this set up, it's going to be under account settings. It's a new feature, approvals. You can see you can enable it or you can set up how you want your approvals to function for marketing, web, etc. So you can choose who can skip approvals. Then you can also choose, can I publish content if no one's approved yet? So you can turn that on or off. So if you want to say, hey, if no one's approved this, don't let anyone publish it. Or you can say, hey, if someone needs to override that, they can on their end. Once you have approvals set up for your specific channel, what this looks like inside that channel, you'll see I'm just in landing pages, and I've got a little column here for approval status. So you'll see what the approval is. You'll go into the piece, select, I'm going quick here in my screen capture, but you'll select the bottom approval icon from that sidebar. You'll select who you want to approve. You can send them a little message, and then you'll just request approval. And right from there, you can start having those conversations about if it's been approved, etc. So it could reduce friction, again, for larger teams. If this is a bottleneck for you, getting content pieces approved on the HubSpot end, a cool new feature by HubSpot that I think will, again, just reduce some friction there. So we're excited about it, reducing friction. You can customize approval per content piece. So if you need a particular person to approve an email, etc., you can customize that per different content piece and per channel, which is a nice functionality, make it easy on the team. It's currently available for marketing email, blogs, landing pages, site pages, and knowledge base articles. So a lot of cross-channel use for approvals. And again, I think it's going to help with larger teams, with teams where approval and getting things approved is traditionally a bottleneck. To just have one place where you're seeing finalized approval, we're good to go live. Keep in mind here some current limitations or just things to note about the tool. Only non-super admins can request approval, and only one approval can be requested at a time. So some limitations with the tool, but still it's going to have pretty complex functionality for just getting approval on simple assets. I think marketing email is going to be a huge one for this on our end internally. Okay, so that is all of the new features, updates we are going to talk through. Again, Content Hub is still going to include everything wonderful about the CMS Hub, smart content, super secure site pages. All of those things are still going to exist under Content Hub, but now just with a new face and a lot more fun tools to play with. This is a brief. I'll just touch on this briefly, and I want to save some time for Q&As. But this is the Content Hub roadmap. So some things to come that are in the works for Content Hub. Stay connected with this group if you are not already, and we will be covering all of these new updates as they launch. We'll be telling you what we love, what we're frustrated about with the tool, what we're excited about to come. So you can see currently in development, a lot of exciting things. So things we just talked about, including membership advancements. It looks like they're working on some AI landing pages, etc. And then there's some fun things in the works, including AI video, which I'm intrigued to see what that looks like, AI agents, etc. I will have Amanda, I don't think I have this again in my PowerPoint for her, but I will add where you can get access to this slide. It's HubSpot.com/new. If you do not already have that bookmark, it's where you can go to see all of the latest and greatest from HubSpot product platform. Another just high-level overview of where Content Hub is headed, some tools, some things they're working on internally. You can see domain setup enhancements, making that easier, reducing friction there, additional domain connect providers, content approvals. We talked through that. I didn't touch on this a ton, but the AI image generator is also a cool feature functionality you can play around with as a part of Content Remix or on its own. I wasn't overly impressed with the images that I generated, but I was not giving it a ton to work with to create those images in the Sandbox account. So I'm curious to play around with that a little bit more and see what types of things I can populate. Post narration, blog post generator. If you're not already using the AI blog post generator to come up with your ideas, if you're not already posting blogs and you're using Content Hub and or CMS Hub, I would use AI blog post generator and start doing that tomorrow. A huge win for your company and fairly low friction on that front. And with that, I am going to stop talking and hand it over to you guys for any questions, ideas, brainstorms. We'd love to run through and answer. I've also got Amanda on my team here who is amazing and can help me answer some of these questions as well. So if you have questions about anything CMS Hub, anything Content Hub, any of the updates we talked about today, or anything HubSpot in general, we would love to be a resource for you. Feel free to also post in the community and or, email me directly with questions. We're committed to making your life inside HubSpot CMS and content easier.
Yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat and we'll answer those. I was curious, Megan, when you were talking about the podcast feature, as far as the RSS feed goes, did you mention, how does the distribution channel work there? That was something that I was...
Yeah, so again, admittedly, it's an area where Aaron on our team internally is the expert there. But basically what it's going to do, it's not going to generate a page that's going to have all your podcasts. It's going to generate an RSS feed, which is pretty common, pretty much like the feed that you'll need to then import into Spotify, et cetera, wherever you're actually having those podcasts live. It'll populate that feed that you then input or connect with your distribution platform. That will then populate the actual podcast itself. So it's not going to natively live the podcast on HubSpot as far as distribution. It'll live on whatever platform you choose to do that, but it's in the standard format that you'll need RSS to get that imported over to whatever platform you choose to go with. For some reason, Spotify is the only podcast hosting I can think of at this moment, but it should work with primarily the large name podcast connections. Good question.
Yeah, I know in the past that was always a bit of a hassle, importing them into the different distribution channels like Spotify, Google, SoundCloud, all those. So I wasn't sure if there was that additional extra step as well or not.
Yeah, so it won't do any of the native connection for you. You won't be able to send this to Spotify. It'll just populate that feed that you'll then need to go into that platform and import it into. And again, we haven't tested that comprehensively on our end, but it seems to be fairly intuitive with with kind of what you would expect with any of those RSS generator podcast hosting.
I don't see anything coming up in the chat, but yeah, feel free if anyone has any thoughts or questions, let us know.
Anything you're particularly excited about, Amanda, playing with on your end?
So for me, just having the ability to play around with the AI tool to help me rewrite or shorten or expand, especially on emails, it's been super helpful. Any of the content remix pieces, I'm also really excited to kind of play around a little bit more with. Outside of the email tool, I haven't had as much chance to do that, but taking a long form piece like the blog and turning it into a social is really interesting to me, and I definitely want to experiment a little bit with that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to play around a little bit more with the ad copy that it populates as well, because that is an option, and audio file. So you can take your blog and populate into an audio file that you can then download and turn into a podcast and all sorts. So lots of fun ideas to play around with, certainly.
Yeah, I am curious too how that translates with the podcast feature. In my mind, a lot of the podcasts that I've done in the past have been very interview based. And so, like how you would structure, like, writing out a script or taking maybe taking a piece that is more like not so much interview based, but trying to kind of fit into that format. I don't know, it's interesting to me to think about how you might reformat things for each different content type, and how that might work or not work, just depending on your source material there.
Yeah, I definitely can't say I'm listening to any AI generated podcasts at the moment, so I'm curious. But obviously, they still have an option where you can upload an audio file directly. But I'm curious how that will perform, and again, like how you can get creative with it. Because I don't think you can choose multiple voices, but it would be fun if you could, have one voice read one section, one voice read another section, make it feel like more of that conversational interview piece, which might, again, feel awkward because you can probably tell that it's AI, but it'll be a fun tool to play around with and to experience and to see results from. So please keep us posted, attendees, as you guys test. Put it in the CMS for Marketers group. If you have any crazy, wild success stories with AI podcasting, we'd love to follow along.
No questions still. I guess everyone feels fully equipped to start using all these features. Just in case anyone is wondering, I think Megan mentioned it earlier on, but we will have a video recording coming out after this session is over. We'll send out an email with a feedback, and then you'll also be getting the email with all of the resources links that we've added into the chat. So if there's anything that you missed, you'll have all of that available to you probably tomorrow. If not by tomorrow, then early next week.
Also, if you guys have topics you'd love to hear us talk about in the future, thank you. I apologize if I'm sniffling up a storm in front of you guys this whole time, but if you have topics, we'd love to make our office hours and anything CMS Hub or content related as actionable as possible for you. So we'd love for you to come away with it with a ton of value. So if there are questions, comments, concerns, consistent stopgaps you're finding within the platform, please let us know. And if we do not have answers, we will find the HubSpot person internally to get you those answers, because we really want to learn how to do better marketing together. So again, thank you guys so much for being here and for spending a little bit of your Thursday with us. Well, Amanda and I will hang out until 5. If anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to even unmute yourself and hop on and ask them. If not, have a wonderful Thursday, and thank you so much for being here. Hi, Gemma.
Hi, Megan. Thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure. I didn't think that we were allowed to actually unmute, so I was there, okay, just being discreet. But it's truly a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. Is there any particular thing you're excited about? Are you guys currently using Content Hub, CMS, anything, HubSpot?
I'm actually using a lot of the HubSpot University to completely better understand this entire digital marketing. And what I'm really discovering more and more are the number of ways we can actually incorporate AI in our daily lives. What I'm truly right now looking for, and I haven't totally figured it out, I have a lot of intro call with a lot of people, and usually I offer their participation if it is a match on both of my podcasts, because I really run 2 different podcasts, 2 different topics. And then I also offer and present a wonderful e-learning monetization opportunity that I had the chance to touch on. That is affiliates. Therefore, I'm very interested also to bring people in whatever fashion. So I have really like 3 topics, and occasionally during the conversation, I even come up with, oh, I should actually connect you with that or that person. So I can actually have 4 different topics. And where I'm struggling is in the follow-up, because I always promise an email, and now I actually have to, I'm not going to say double the time, but to add another at least 15 to 20 minutes to actually pull together that email. And I'm thinking, well, with all that AI, we should be able to just say, okay, you bring that podcast, that opportunity, and now just add that specific thing for that specific person, and now send and subscribe that person to that sequence. And I'm here like, whoa, I don't know how to make that happen, but I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, it's cool. And HubSpot Academy is a great resource to learn all about what is possible within the tool and just out there. But it's wild what AI is coming out with, and what different connective tissue you can do, and how you can reduce friction for yourself. It sounds like producing this mass amount of content on cross channels, then having follow-up and subscribers and all of that. How much of that you can help automate, or even just brainstorm, take the initial legwork off of, what should I even be saying in my follow-up? What should this even look like? And generate that through AI. And then you can layer in the strategy that you know about your specific customer, your specific audience, to make the AI powerful. Because we still have seen consistently that you're going to need that human touch and that human strategy.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also when you are at the receiving end and you really feel it is generic for all people like you, it's like, yeah, so for someone like you, yeah, you're not sure if it is truly like me, because I'm not exactly like that way. And I told you that during our call, and it's like, yeah, not truly, but I get it. You just sent out everybody the same thing. And when occasionally we receive like that one personal touch, it's like, oh, she absolutely thought of me, so I am important to her, so let me actually look into her thing. And that is how you actually totally like, okay, now you hooked someone's heart and you're good for life.
100%. Yeah, sounds like you're on the right track, Gemma.
Thank you.
I was going to suggest, Gemma, I don't know if you've been playing around with the personas property at all in HubSpot, and sort of.
Yes, I did that, and it's great.
Yes. Yeah, so that's definitely a great way to help personalize and segment, so that when people do get that messaging from you, because it's a topic that's, relevant to that particular group, right? That really helps build that relationship and that feeling of, oh, this person understands me. And you can also use a lot of user behavior signals. So if someone's in your CRM, and they're interacting with certain pieces of content on your website, and you're tracking those page views, that can also maybe help you segment people into particular persona types based on the topics that you're talking about in your podcasts.
Yeah. So do you think that I should actually start to create a persona per person I meet, until I start to really boil them down to, yeah, those are really similar, and then it's 3 and 4 and a 5th, and then it becomes more and more like, okay, I have my group of, I don't know, 4 or 5 typical people, and then from there, and that becomes actually my personas.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Typically, I think most businesses have like what I would say 3 to 5 main personas, right, Megan? You don't want to get too granular, because the whole point is to sort of help you broadly segment and understand people based on their particular interests, challenges, motivations, the roles that they have within, the jobs that they have to do, the roles that they have either in their company or, even personal lives, whatever it might be. It's really more about not getting too in the weeds, so to say, as far as who it is that you're speaking to. So you don't want a lot of mini like profiles or anything like that. But
okay, so
a broad,
not really. Okay, not really, but maybe think through, because I have a lot of people in mind. So maybe think through what I'm looking for and what are those specific traits. And when I can realize that someone has those specific traits, now I know that I put that person into that segment. Maybe the other way around.
And a simple way to do it too, wherever you're having people subscribe, how we do this on the front end of the form would be whatever is most relevant. So maybe it's job title, or maybe it's, so let's say we're working with a builder developer. Our form would say, what best describes you? I'm looking for a home. I'm a realtor. I'm a developer. So you kind of have them self-select, self-identify with whatever makes the most sense. So if your podcast is, hey, what type of information are you most interested in learning? And you have 3 buckets, or it's what, I don't know what might be most relevant. Maybe it is job title or position or something like that. Then you can have them self-identify when they're subscribing, and then create specific lists that say, I'm only going to send the realtors content that I know they're going to care about. I'm not going to send that content to a developer or to a homeowner who it might not be relevant for them. So you can have them start doing some of that legwork for you and self-identifying, and then send those lists accordingly. Obviously, it might be a little more nuanced depending on your podcast, but let's start thinking about it like that too.
I think it would be, I think it's genius, because actually the automation would start during the first form, during the first intake, when I actually get them to fill out a free information and schedule a call. Okay. And there have them self-identify, and that being a trigger for a first automation to already classify them in a specific segment that is relevant to them.
Exactly.
That's great. I can do that. That I know how to do. Wow. Thank you.
That's a win. Yes. Yeah. And then you can even create custom follow-up. So if it's scheduling a call, then you can create workflows that say, if they selected this on schedule call, send them this follow-up email instead of this one. So once you have that base information where they have identified whatever segment they fall into, you can do a lot with that. You can play around with that a ton, and you're not having to kind of make all these buckets on your end. They're telling you who they are.
That's genius. I start to see a little bit better how I'm going to actually handle that constant flow. And it's wonderful, because actually I got everybody on a Facebook, a hand raising Facebook post, when you put like, I have that, who wants it? Mom, yeah. And then you get like 80 people or 100 people. So I got that kind of success, and it's like, okay, so now I'm going to schedule this month. Oh, so it's like, okay, let's get to work.
Yes.
Okay, so automation during the intake form first, and that will actually ease the flow, like ease.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's wonderful. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Amanda.
Segment and then personalized is kind of the way to structure it, right? So segment your audiences based on what they tell you they're interested in, and then personalize your messaging based on that information.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks so much for being here and for hopping on to ask us a question. We love being resources.
That's wonderful. This is also what I love so much at HubSpot is that knowledge of that hub of knowledge of people. That's wonderful.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, we're just coming up on 5, and I don't see any other questions. So Amanda and I will let you guys go. But again, thank you so much. If there's anything else, do not hesitate to reach out and keep an eye out for follow-up assets to come. And we'll hopefully see you at future HubSpot CMS Now Content Hub events.